Welcome to Ground Up Growth. I'm Hannah Pittman, founder of Pittman Marketing, alongside my co-host Paul Hopper, principal broker of Hopper Real Estate Leaders. Together, we sit down with entrepreneurs and business leaders to share insights, strategies, and lessons to help you build success from the ground up.
Welcome back to Ground Up Growth. Today we have guests Taylor and Katie Summers with Zoe Ministries and Zoe Coffee House. Thank y'all so much for coming on today. We also have two new sponsors. We have Service Specialist and Environment Masters. Thank y'all for your sponsorship, and y'all will hear more from those companies later in the show. So Taylor and Katie, thank you so much for coming on. I've got my co-host Hannah Pittman here.
Howdy.
Howdy. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us a little bit about, we need to hear y'all's story because I heard a little bit of it before we started recording, and long distance relationship. That was, y'all checked that box. So
Yeah.
one of y'all lived in Haiti and one of you lived in Kenya, right?
Yep.
So we need to figure that out.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about y'all and
Yeah, we
story.
are Katie and Taylor Summers. We live here in Madison. We moved here about literally 2 years ago this week from Cleveland. We love it. We work with Zoe Ministries and Zoe Coffee. And yeah, kind of the background of Zoe Ministries is I graduated college in 2016 on a Saturday, and 2 days later I hopped on a plane and moved to Kenya for 6 months.
Hang on. So you went, I got to figure that part.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
Delta State.
Delta State, fighting okra.
Yep.
My wife went to Delta State. All right, so 2 days later you went to, what'd you graduate in?
I wish I could remember.
Wait, what year? Or
No, I graduated with a degree in
social science?
social sciences because fall of my summer going into my senior year, I knew I wanted to move overseas after I graduated. So I went to my advisor and told him, "Hey, man, I got to graduate next May, so let's make it happen." And he gave me the path to make it happen. So I think fall of my senior year, I took 24 hours. And then the spring, I took 21 just so I could graduate. My parents thought I was absolutely crazy. But yeah, I graduated on Saturday afternoon and Monday morning. My parents drove me down here to Jackson, and I hopped on a plane May 11th, and I came back the week of Thanksgiving. And then started the organization. There's a lot in between on that 6-month period. But yeah, it's kind of been a ride. My parents thought I was absolutely crazy, and I get it now as a parent.
Right, yeah.
But they were like, "You just graduated with a degree. What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'll give it a year. And if it didn't work out in a year, I'll come back home and I'll, put that degree to use." And
Yeah.
still hadn't yet. So 10 years later. So I still got it though.
So Katie, where did you go to college, or where?
Yeah.
Because you're not from Mississippi.
No, I'm from Birmingham. Went to Ole Miss and came to Jackson for nursing school at UMC. I worked at Batson Children's Hospital for 2 years. Went on a mission trip to Haiti on a medical mission trip, and loved it and felt God calling me there. Was there for 2 years. Lived in Haiti for 2 years as a nurse. While I was there, I had some friends tell me about this guy in Kenya who was starting his own organization with some really like-minded perspectives and mission. So we connected one time when we were both home, and the rest is history. We really hit it off and did some long-distance dating for about a year.
Yeah.
International dating for about a year.
15 months.
And then I moved home and we got married, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So
It's so crazy.
Yeah, it could have been done easier.
Yeah, we haven't
yeah.
definitely take the hardest way in most things that we do.
But it's one of those where, like, when I'm living in Kenya, so I lived in Kenya over 3 years, and I would fly home every 6 to 10 months for about a month. And starting this organization from the ground, like, it was something that the people come to me all the time. Paul, I'm sure you get this, man. People come to you like, hey, how do you start this? And I want to get from A to Z as quick as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, the best thing I ever did was live there. I said, because I knew everyone would come to you and try to cheat you. And I knew from the word go who was trying to cheat me. And we got here because the hard days in the beginning, we had no money. It was just an idea on paper.
Right.
And, you know, I had a phone call with a gentleman 5 years ago that was my parents' age, that was retiring, that was starting an organization in Tanzania. And on that phone call, he told me that, you know, I think with my age and all that, my place in life I'm in right now, I think it'll be easy to raise money. And I stopped him. I was like, you know, I started raising money when I was 23, single, no children. I said, you don't understand how hard it was to get people to trust you, to give that money. And I said, man, I think you're underestimating how, you know, people that donate want to see the return. They want to see the growth and all that. I said, dude, do not ever tell me it's going to be easy to raise money. And that might be the last time me and I got talked. But it was just that whole perspective of jumping into the weeds of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're fortunate. I get to travel to Kenya every 3 to 4 months. We took our kids last month, and every time we're there, it makes you miss it. Because you get in the weeds of it, you're like, okay, this is why I started this. Like, and you know, Facebook memories are something that as you get older, they become cooler.
Right. Yeah.
And I had one yesterday from 10 years ago yesterday. So when I moved there, I lived in a little town called Kitale, Kenya, in a house that was like probably 250 square feet. I tell people all the time, you can see the entire house from the front door. Just a little shoebox, but my mode of transportation was I bought a motorcycle when I first got there, and that was how I got around every morning. And I took a picture 10 years ago yesterday of me, that motorcycle parked in front of a pothole that's the size of this room. And as I've gotten older, I've used that as an illustration. You know, during those times, man, the only way to get through that pothole, that little 125cc motorcycle in nowhere, Kenya, was to go right through it. I said, there was no way to get around it. You had to go right through it every single morning. I said, sometimes in life, man, you just got to go through it to get to the other side. And when you get 10 years into this and you look up and you're raising real money and you have way too many staff than we ever thought possible, it's like, okay, some days you just got to get through it.
Yeah.
And
you look back and see all the potholes that you came through to get to where you are.
Yeah. And it was funny, there's a lady that commented on the picture that lives in Kitale today still. And she was like, guess what? That hole is still there.
10 years later, that hole is still there.
We have a little more money. We can buy vehicles now.
We don't have
We
to
can,
do motorcycle.
Do y'all know Catherine Rogers?
Yeah, so she actually
Yeah.
came to Zoe as an intern in 2018, the summer before we got married. So she came and served with us in Kitale for a month as an intern.
Wow.
With our team. It feels like yesterday. But yeah, with the Delta roots, she was Clarksville from Cleveland, so we kind of have that.
Yeah.
And she came with us for a month and came back and kind of never left. She started her own little organization. Her facility today is from me to your house, from our main office in
Really?
Kitale.
Real close.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know Catherine?
I've just supported that
Yeah.
Purposely Made Ministries for several years. I think she's done a really good job with that, and
Yeah.
just
doing
my
some
wife
hard
from
work.
Clarksdale, so like
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
Delta deal, you know.
Yeah, it's always
anytime I
crazy.
can
Yeah.
try to support something like that. I mean, that's, you know, because you get a lot of companies that talk about ministries and different things, and it's like, y'all are doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Mhm.
not saying people that say they do it don't
Sure.
do it, but
It's not a side
that's putting the bootstraps on and doing it. I mean, what y'all are doing. I mean, you're still going to Kenya every
Yeah.
3 or 4 months. I mean, that's not talking about it. That's being about it, and that's very impressive to me.
I think
Yeah.
that's great that you go back so frequently and to keep you connected to
It keeps me engaged. I won't lie to you. Like I started because I was living there. I was in the weeds, and I was one going to the top of the mountain, buying the bricks and bringing them down, and negotiating with these guys And now you look up and my day looks like, not to shame this, but this and sitting behind a computer all day.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not why I started this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I started because I was in the weeds with these guys, and, I actually got to build houses with them, and I got to, learn how to drive vehicles and that motorcycle, and the respect I have with our staff because they know I can do all that. It's
Right.
something that, man, I look up and I'm behind a computer all day raising money, making phone calls, emails.
You're like, I
So
can't
I'm
wait
like,
to get
I
back.
can't wait. I
Yeah,
kid you
yeah.
not. 2 months yesterday, September 15th. I
Yeah.
count down until I get back on a plane. And I'm only in Kitale for 6 days in September. But then I get back September 24th and I fly out January 14th.
How long a flight is that?
Which one?
Do you want to go or do you not want to go? That's what when people ask me, I'm like, I'm serious you about going because that's going to dictate my answer. So yeah, we out of Jackson, so just we'll walk through the whole trip. Fly 45 minutes from Jackson to Atlanta. Hop on a plane from Atlanta, 8.5 hours to Paris or Amsterdam. Another 8.5 hours from Paris or Amsterdam down to Nairobi. All flights land at night, so we stay a night, and then another 45-minute flight to Kitale, and then you're there.
So 4 airplanes to get
Just
there.
a hop, skip, and a jump.
Just to get
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Real quick.
And that's with no delays.
Sure.
That's no delays, yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
But it can be done because we just did it with our children.
Yeah, so life looks a
Yeah.
lot different than it did when he started things 10 years ago.
Yeah,
We now have 3 kids. We have a 6-year-old and then a 2.5-year-old and a 1-year-old. And we just did a 2-week trip with them. And I look back on it, I'm like, we were crazy.
yeah, we were absolutely crazy.
Yeah, did you just black out the whole
But
time?
truly, I think I was on such an adrenaline rush. Like, 'cause I love being there too, and our kids just really thrived when they were there. And so that just, I don't know, that was the world to us.
That's so neat.
And really cool to see. But I think for the whole 2 weeks, I didn't like exhale one time. I was like anxious the whole time. When we pulled back into our driveway in Madison, I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Like, we made it back. But we're going back for a whole month in June with everybody. So we're excited about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
great.
awesome.
I want to stop here and tell you about our sponsors for today's episode, Service Specialists and Environment Masters. Maybe you're hiring and you need the right person, not just the next resume in the stack. Or maybe you're the one quietly wondering if there's a career that better aligns with your future. Either way, Service Specialist starts the same. They take the time to know you. Mississippi's oldest recruiting firm, connecting talent and employers since 1967, because the right fit comes from relationships, not job boards. Find them at servicespecialistltd.com. This episode is also sponsored by Environment Masters. When your AC quits in the middle of a Mississippi summer, you don't want a voicemail. You want a real person who shows up on time and does the job right. Environment Masters has been keeping local homes cool, dry, and running since 1957. 3 generations, honest opinions, no upselling. Just HVAC, plumbing, and electrical done the way it should be. Learn more at environmentmasters.com. And thank you both for sponsoring this episode. I want to fast forward a little bit to give our listeners a little bit of context to y'all,
Yeah.
and then backtrack a little bit because I have
Okay.
some questions about how it started. So y'all are opening, and I'm sure some of our listeners, being heavily local, will know you're opening a coffee shop in Livingston between the Briar Patch and the coffee place.
The
Ice
ice
cream
cream
place.
Yeah, what did I just say?
You
Coffee.
said the coffee.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
We
we wouldn't-
place between the coffee place.
Yeah. We wouldn't go next door. But
Okay, sorry. I'm still finishing my coffee actually, so like a little slow. So right there between Coaches and the Briar Patch, and you're opening in a few weeks.
next week.
And so I think people will be excited to obviously have a coffee shop out there. Anything that comes to Livingston, people get excited. It's such a neat atmosphere out there. But I wanted y'all to come on to kind of share about Zoe Ministry, about who y'all are, so they can really know what is this coffee shop, who are these people, where did they come from, what's the mission behind this. So for people listening, if you hear about that coffee shop, these are those people, and this is why that they're
This is
doing
where your
that.
money's going to.
Yeah, which is really neat. So I know that the ministry, the coffee shops help fund the ministry, and that's some of why it started. But take us back to, what is the ministry? What are y'all doing over there? And why the name? Like,
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
jump
yeah.
into the name. This is also relevant right now because we have a big 10-year campaign starting in September, and we're all working through this for that campaign and all the media and all that kind of fun stuff. The name, so when I was living in Kenya as an intern with another organization, I kind of got 3 months into it and realized, okay, this is where my heart is, but it's not with these people. I felt so called to Kenya and so at home and so at peace, but I knew it just wasn't where I was. So the Lord put on my heart when I was reading through scripture, and I have the paper still to this day in our safe. I was reading through John 10:10, where Jesus says, I came that they may have life and have it to the full. And I started digging into that word life, and translated in the Greek, it is Zoe. So I wrote that down immediately and said, all this paper that at the time, all I wanted to do was offer these orphan and abandoned children in nowhere Kenya the life that my parents gave me. Not just physical, but also how do I point them to Christ? Like, how do I grew up in a house where, if you were physically able, you were at church every Wednesday and Sunday. Like, there was not an option until I literally graduated high school and moved off. It was, if you're going to live under my roof, you're going to do as I tell you. That kind of mentality. And that's all I wanted to offer. I wanted to do it different. I'd lived there and I'd seen people come in and build these huge structures and put 50 or 100 kids in a dorm with a matron, and kids grow up as a number, not as a name. So I said, okay, Lord, we're going to do it the expensive way. Literally, we're going to go buy land. And this is how, I came home of Thanksgiving, and I started presenting this idea to my home church, my friends, and said, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to go buy land in Kitale, Kenya. Our goal is to buy 5 acres to raise $50,000. That was day one. And we're going to build houses. We're going to build 3-bedroom houses about the size of this structure that we're in right now. And we're going to bring in a married Kenyan family, just like Big Oak Ranch out in out in Alabama, and French Camp here in Mississippi. We're going to bring Kenyan married couples with their own children to raise these orphan and abandoned children as their own. People looked at me like I was absolutely crazy. I said, okay, for the first house, it's going to cost about $15,000 to build it. But hey, we still got to buy that land. That's $50,000. And people go crazy. Like, it costs it in 2017, we got ready to buy this land. It was about, right at $10,000 an acre in the middle of nowhere. And, 8 miles from the nearest tarmac road. So only accessible by 4-wheel drive vehicles. We buy this land. I come home. We have absolutely no money in the bank. So we have made an agreement with the landowner that, hey, we settled on $50,000. I might have fibbed in the beginning, but we told him, hey, we can give you 50% right now. We'll give you 50% over the next 6 months in incremental payments. And he was like, okay, I'll agree to that. So I had a file lit under me when I flew back home after giving this guy $25,000 and said, okay, I got to raise 25 plus 15 in 2 months. And I sat in a board meeting in August of 2017 with our new put together board, and my best friend who was on the board looked at me at the end of this meeting and he said, are we not going to address the elephant in the room? I was like, what is that? He's like, there's only $350 in the account. And I was like, yeah, that is a pretty big elephant. And so I started hitting it, man. You look up and we get back to going through it. Like, I started making phone calls saying, hey, can I come share at your Sunday school class? Can I come share at your sewing group? Can I come share at your church? No matter where you are, who you are, I'm coming. Just open the door, allow me to come. And I started telling this story of, hey, this is what we want to give, that life that, we also know here, and the children that we've raised, and that's what we want to offer. Will you help me fund this land and build this house? And you start looking up, and you're like, hey, so-and-so just gave 5,000. So-and-so just gave 20. And you're like, whoa, where's this coming from? And it's people you don't know. And I'll backtrack a minute. When I got ready to start this organization, I had a gentleman here in Jackson that I met with, older gentleman that had done this before on a much bigger scale. And he looked at me after a 2-hour meeting and said, think of all the people that you know right now with money, that are all your friends that you know that can support you, that you think are going to step up to the plate. put those names and move them to the side because it's going to be people you don't know. And there's nothing ever been truer in that line.
The people we
It's the
expect.
people you expect are not going to be the ones that fund it.
It'll be the ones that you
It'll
don't
be the
even know.
ones you never knew.
Wow, that's a very interesting.
And I tell people that all the time. I said, those people, it took me years, those people that I have in my mind, I'm not going to give names, but it took some of them that I knew were so successful financially. It took some of them 7-8 years
to get on
to
board.
get involved,
Yeah.
like significantly. But the people that I didn't know funded our first houses. So we fundraised this first house. We go back and build it, start building January of 2018, open it in March of 2018. Today we've built over 12 houses in different capacities. So we house orphans, vulnerable children with the goal of getting them back to their families through reintegration. We have houses for babies that have been abandoned. We have houses for, children that come in that were molested, raped, that were ultimately, shunned from their homes. They come into a house. We have another 4 houses that we use for teen moms just so they don't abandon their baby and they end up in our care.
That's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah,
I
we
could
don't
jump in.
talk about that a lot.
That's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things that is newer in the ministry side of things is our teen mom home. Young girls who are pregnant at a young age are usually ostracized from their families and really encouraged to give up their babies. And so by identifying these girls, they come into our care. They learn how to take care of their babies. They're taught a skill such as sewing so that when they do have their babies and they go back into society, they have a way of providing income and taking care of their babies. So after a year or an extended period of time with us, they are equipped and they are empowered and they have integrity and they learn that their baby is worthy and that they have the ability to take care of them, that God gave them that child for a purpose. And so I love that part of what we do.
And it's the whole principle is we don't want your baby to end up in that house right down the hill.
Orphan prevention.
And you look up and we're rounding through COVID. We're sitting in one of our coffee shops the first week of January 2021. And me and the gentleman that mentor of mine that helped me start that first shop, we're sitting there one Saturday morning. A gentleman walked in. We have a white sheet of paper. We're drawing out house plans. And the gentleman walks in from Cleveland, says, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And we're like, "We're drawing up these house plans." We were contacted by the government months ago that, the schools ended in March of 2020 in Kenya, didn't resume until January the following year. So you do that 9-month math. Biology takes effect on teenagers. So there's an influx of babies being abandoned all around Western Kenya, trash cans, all around hospitals, just local buildings, our gates, the properties that we owned. So the government came to us and asked if we would build a baby house. And I was like, no, man, that's not who we are. It's pre-children in my life. But we're sitting in this building the Lord that kind of stirred our heart. There were 2 children abandoned and dropped off at our gate between Christmas Day and January 1st of 2020. And the first 2 children we actually ever named. And this guy walked in, he sees it, he says, "That's awesome." Gets coffee, leaves. Monday morning, he calls the gentleman I was with and said, "Hey, can you come by my office? I want to give you guys a check to help you with that house that you were talking about Saturday morning." Gentleman goes up to his office, gets a check, drives back to the coffee shop. As he's driving down the highway, he opens the check and sees that it's for the full amount of the house. Turns his car around, goes back to the guy's office that he's known forever, and gives him a hug and says, "You didn't have to do this, but thank you." And the weight of that on me is so great that that money's given. First of all, we got to prove that it's going to where we say it's going. And that's, I think, how we've grown so fast. It's like when that building breaks ground, we finish it, pictures go to that family, letters, all this. Pictures of continually go to that family that funded it. And we look up and 2019 was our biggest financial year at that time. And I'd flown over in January 20. We had moved over January 2020, the first week of January, and the world flipped. And we met with our staff and we said, "Hey, 2019 was a very big financial year for us. I don't feel comfortable allowing all this money to sit in the bank. We got to put it to action. And I said, so what do you think we should do as an organization? And they said, people need clean water. And I was like, okay, what does that look like? And then so we drilled our first well in 2020, June of 2020, and look back, and now we look up, and our clean water side of things is probably 60% of our budget in what we do, if not more. We no longer just drill; we have repair teams.
Do you know Nick King?
I know of him. I haven't met him. We presented this idea, so we're working in a very remote desert region, 3 hours north of Katali. That's where we have all of our water team based out of. And I kind of use in the Delta that, you know, you have Wade and, you know, these guys, Case, that have their own four-wheel drive trucks, and they go to, you know, these tractors break down and harvest in the field. They go to them, and they repair that tractor, and they go back. That's what we do. We have, you know, 3 Land Cruiser trucks like you see in that Geo, and they're full of plumbers. That's kind of been our connection and relationship with Ford Plumbing. And we hire skilled trade school plumbers that go in these remote regions and repair wells, and they repair over 200 a year and go to the toughest to reach areas. We have guys on motorcycles that go to repair wells. But we follow that up by the pastoral side. In this region, it's considered engaged and unreached. And we opened our pastoral training center January of this year. And these guys that go and repair these wells, you know, these burly men that go in and repair, they open the door for our pastoral team to come in and share Christ. And we've seen generational change through these communities. And honestly, it's been a fun ride. Yeah. You get people connected that like have the heart behind it, and the Lord has brought people into our path that we still don't know how that aligned. But it's been incredible to see the growth, and
it's cool to see the different things that people latch onto, whether it be the children's side of what we do, the water side, the women empowerment side. I feel like there's something that every person can identify with. I mean, even if it is just sharing the gospel, even if you're not a believer, I think you can really get behind the fact that you're changing lives, like physically providing, meeting physical needs of people who have less than you do. And so I think there's just something for everybody. We're like meeting a consumer need, but it's just, I really think that everybody has something to latch on to.
Yeah, it's really cool. Just my background being, you know, working on farms every summer and all, you know, like I get in the weeds of things, and we do a trip every January to big farming. You know, most of the people that come on that trip are in the ag industry in some aspect, and it's a lot of men that I grew up with, and we have same like-minded, you know, they come over and they're more worried about the, you know, the turbo in our Land Cruisers, how it sounds, you know, than some of the other people that come over. But they come over every January and they repair wells. We take them out to these areas. They work alongside our team, and they simply get to use their hands for a week and do work, and they see the bigger picture of those guys coming in after them. And then you go back and you share, okay, remember that community we visited in January, and how, you know, we now have a guy from that community in our pastor center that one day hopes to plant a church there. So that's the whole idea of it. But seeing people relate is so special. Getting them over there, because I can talk about it all day long. Yeah. But until you actually walk it and see it.
No, I think that's really impressive. I appreciate y'all breaking that down and explaining all that, because I mean that's the people that see your coffee shop. Yeah, they don't see that part of it, and that's where the whole inspiration comes from. That's huge. I really appreciate that. So we're going to do 2 parts of this podcast. We're going to probably go ahead and wrap up the first one, but I do want to know if people listening, if they do want to donate or help y'all. What's the path?
You can visit our website, zoemeanslife.org. Everything we just talked about is there. Or you can visit us on Facebook and Instagram, Zoe Ministries.
Okay.
And follow the Instagram for the coffee shop.
Yeah. What's it called, Katie? I don't do social media.
So Coffee Outpost. Yeah.
So Coffee Outpost.
I think
Maybe we dive into that. What do
Yeah.
you want to talk about on the
I think
second?
next we go. I think this episode gave us a really good background for the ministry.
Yeah.
Of course, we could probably talk about the ministry for hours.
Yeah.
I think we go from how did you get from that to
coffee.
now you're opening your third coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we dive into that a little bit more on the next episode.
Sounds great. Thank y'all
Thank
so
y'all.
much for coming on.
Yeah, for sure.